Hello, I'm Becky Baldwin and welcome to my lesson about strengthening your fretting fingers. I get asked quite a lot about how to make best use of all of your fingers. So a lot of people have problems with their little finger or their ring finger and they want to get them as efficient and strong as the rest of the hand. So this is what we're going to try and work on today. So your problem finger doesn't just have to be strong, it also has to have a lot of stamina and the agility to move between that finger and another finger quickly. These are just movements you're not used to yet. So we're going to be looking at ways to bring those fingers back up to speed like with the rest of them. As we go through these exercises, you'll be able to identify which is your problem finger or finger combinations, and we'll be able to work on those in isolation and get rid of any bad habits and hopefully speed things up for you. So let's get started. We're going to start further up the neck, as you notice the frets get closer together, so if you've got a bit of a stretching problem then it's going to be slightly easier up here. So we're going to start around the 12th fret, and firstly we're going to use a 3 semitone pattern, which means the notes are just 3 semitones apart. And if we're using a 1 finger per fret method, that means we're going to be using our little finger and index finger. So these two are going to be working. You're going to be working these kind of muscles and everything in between these two fingers. Yes. You don't have to use a metronome to get started, so we'll add that later. For now we're just getting used to the movements. So we're going to start on the G string and at the 12th fret with your little finger, and with your index finger we're going to go for the 9th fret. Hopefully you can see that okay. Okay, right, bass on, and we're going to descend across the strings using that 12th fret, 9th fret, 12th fret, 9th fret pattern. So let's give this a go. 12th fret on the G string and then 9th fret on the G string, down to the next string. Keep going until we run out of strings. Then move down 1 fret, slide it down, so we're keeping the index finger there, and then back up with the little finger. Once we get to the top, the little finger's going to slide down, and then rinse and repeat until you run out of fretboard. Doesn't sound great melodically, but it's a really good exercise to do, and you can do it anywhere. Like, you don't have to be plugged in to do it, you don't have to be able to hear stuff. You can be sat in front of the TV on the sofa just practicing these movements. So you don't have to do it at that speed, do it at any tempo you like and bring the speed up when you're a bit happier with it. So now we're at the bottom of the neck, but if you notice when we were going down here we were always crossing strings the same way. We were going index finger to little finger on the new string, and then on the way back up we were going index finger first to go up. So we're going to switch that around and do the opposite this time. So we're going to start on the 4th fret and then the index finger on the 1st fret comes afterwards. So the notes are going lower on each one, but then we're going to go up each string. Okay, at 1st fret, and then we slide up to 2nd fret and then do the opposite, basically go upwards but down the strings. Okay, it doesn't matter too much about your picking, but yeah, again, it's a good thing to do to just practice for your fretting hand. If you're feeling good about that, then we can now try it with a metronome. 80 beats per minute, let's try that. This is old school, and it's so loud and horrible. Back to the start there. I'm going to finish around 12th fret, but you could keep going as long as you want. If you feel like you want more practice up here, then feel free to go until you run out of neck this way as well. But of course, most of the things we're going to be playing in real life is probably going to be down here. So this is kind of our focus area, and then, you know, also extend to here if you feel like you're going to be using it a lot. If you feel like you need more work there, just do it. So that's the first exercise done, but there's a few things that I feel like I should mention to keep an eye out for in this. We want to get the best note quality possible out of our instrument, so we don't want to be rushing ahead, and if we've got fret buzz, then slow it down and see if we can address what's going wrong. So some common problems of fret buzz would be to be fretting it in the wrong place. So Ideally, we want to get as close to just behind the fret wire as possible. So if this is my fret wire here for the 4th fret, so I want to be like just behind it there, get a stonking quality note there. But if I move it back to here, I can end up with some fret buzz. Even with the same amount of pressure, I can still get a much better note closer to the fret wire. So we want to be kind of doing these patterns, thinking about being close to the fret wire. And the other one would be just to make sure you're using enough pressure. That can also cause fret buzz if you're not quite squeezing the note enough. So we want to make sure that the thumb is behind the neck, always kind of in the center behind the neck, which is giving you kind of the opposite amount of pressure that your finger's pushing down on. So we're squeezing the neck between a finger and thumb. Whichever finger we use, it's always a big squeeze to get the best note out. And as much as possible, you want to be using the very ends of your fingers, your fingertips, so you want to be curving your finger around like that. We don't want flappy, straight fingers like this when you're doing these. We want them curved and using the end of the fingertip because you'll get better note quality and you'll be more accurate. Next is our 2 semitone pattern. So that means our notes are 2 semitones apart. With 1 finger per fret method, that means there's 2 exercises going on here. Probably our main problem is little finger and middle finger, right? So working these 2 together, and then the other one will be index finger and ring finger. So we're going to be going through both of those. It may feel like you're making things harder for yourself, but if you remember that the harder it is, the more necessary it is that you have to practice it. So don't give up on this one. So the same concept, but with slightly different notes, starting with little finger on the 12th fret and middle finger on the 10th fret, and we descend through the strings, slide down, back up again. So I'm going to do this with a metronome. I've gone up to about 92 beats per minute here, so let's give that a go. And then the other way around, so we're starting with 3rd fret, little finger, and middle finger is going to do the 1st fret, and then we go up through the strings, slide up, and then go back down, and then continue that until we kind of run out of bass or we get bored around the 12th fret. So now an easier one, we're going to be using ring finger and index finger. And so I'm going to put the tempo up a little bit because it's a bit more simple. About 100 beats per minute, and these 2 fingers, 12th fret and 10th fret. Now the other way, 3rd fret and 1st fret on the E string, going upwards. Lastly, the 1 semitone pattern. This one can be a little bit mean, but there are 3 different options. So probably the most problematic one, little finger and ring finger. And then we're also going to do these 2, ring finger and middle finger, and then these 2, peace sign, index finger and middle finger. Okay, So I'm going to demonstrate the hard one, the little finger and ring finger, because it's probably going to need the most work. I'm going to do it without a click because I kind of want to focus more on getting the best note quality. I'm going to try and keep a consistent tempo, but if I need to slow down to get a better note out of it, I'm going to do that. Right, so 12th fret and 11th fret. And we're going to just move down in the same way as before, slide the note, back up, that kind of thing. Okay, so little finger on 12th fret and ring finger on 11. Back up again because that wasn't torture enough. So how did that feel? Well, it kind of ached and I felt a bit fatigued towards the end of it, but yeah, it didn't hurt. So it's just this kind of thing that I need to just keep working on to make it as strong as doing it with the other fingers. So now I'm going to do it with these two, ring finger and middle finger. Let's have our click back, and this is at 110, maybe 100 BPM. I don't know, just pick your own. Okay, these two fingers, 12th fret. To keep in mind while you're doing these ones that you're only using a couple of your fingers for. The other fingers are probably going to be working against you, and we need to try and stop them. They've kind of got a mind of their own, and you'll be trying to play this and then this finger's over here, or the worst one is when someone's playing maybe index finger and they find their little fingers going underneath behind the neck. That's really bad. You want them all to be as close to the fretboard as possible, because you know, if one finger's pulling away like this and the other's trying to work, it's just working against you and giving you it's just less efficient. You're kind of working against yourself there. And also you want these fingers to be involved, ready to mute other strings or to get involved in the riff, and you know, you might need it next. So if it's over there, that's just more space, more effort to do to get the next note that you need. The flying finger issue is a bit of a problem for a lot of people, and it's quite a hard one to get rid of. But I think being aware of it at first is going to start helping already. So just keep an eye on how you're playing it and see if you can address it. Some other suggestions I've come across is trying to practice in front of like a wall or a desk or a surface that can physically stop your fingers moving away. Other suggestions have been a hot radiator, so you will burn your fingers if you get them too close to the radiator. You know, they're all good suggestions, but they're just a way of kind of getting your brain to start controlling your fingers again. So if I think of a riff where I'm just playing two notes, maybe just these two fingers, if I'm not thinking about my little finger, it can end up going over here. I'm not even paying attention. But if I think, hey, I've got to use this little finger here to play this note, like I was doing that. If I start engaging that kind of thought process and then go back to just playing the other riff, between those two notes, but this little finger that little finger was staying put close to the strings, a bit more efficient there. And now we've come to the last one, which is the easy one, index finger and middle finger. I'm going to do it at a faster tempo. You don't have to do that, I'm just running out of space on my phone. So I'm going to do it at about 120 beats per minute. Yeah, it's the same one again where we're going 12 to 11, but now just these two fingers. And now that's all of them. Great. So now we've played them all, we can look back and think which ones were the really hard ones. I'm going to focus more time on doing those again. We can maybe do them a couple of times a week and see how quickly the progress comes and how much easier it is after a month maybe. And see if you can work those fingers more into other bass lines, any bass lines you already know and already play, but you feel like you could use better, use your fingers better. Of course, these are all just random, completely tuneless exercises, so you can just come up with as many of these as you like by yourself, with different finger combinations and stuff. I mean, I've kind of covered most of them, but you could come up with ones that are like extended fingering, so like when you're stretching, like that, if you want to work on your stretching more, so that was like 3 to 7 there. Or even condensed fingers, because, you know, it does come up in real life, even if your teacher or whatever is telling you to use one finger per fret all the time. Sometimes we're going to be doing things like this. And at one point we've kind of put our index finger and little finger right next to each other. So maybe that could be an exercise where you, you know, use very close together fingers. That's also a good thing to work on. It's going to come up sometime. So I hope these exercises have helped you identify any weaknesses in your fretting hand playing and that you enjoyed the video. So best of luck and keep enjoying your bass playing. Bye bye.